Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a closer, deeper look at the new moon in Pisces. Before we get too deep into the new moon, I want to remind everybody of my specials. Remember, all of my one-on-one sessions, the hour-long sessions, have been discounted to $35. Those have been booking really, really fast. So, like, if you're wanting something with me, especially before we get into eclipse season, I would book those very, very soon because, like, I'm already like booked up for most of the next 2 weeks, and then we're going into a eclipse season. So make sure you're getting your time with me as soon as you can, because I keep booking up really quickly. I do still also have a lot of the personalized horoscopes available. A lot of people have already taken me up on that, but remember, a month-long personalized horoscope is $35. A quarterly, i.e. a 3-month version of a personalized horoscope is on sale for $95, and those have also been heavily discounted. Okay, want to do that quick little reminder. Now I'm going to go straight into this new moon. I said during the full moon in Virgo that there is something about the full moon in Virgo that directly plays into this new moon in Pisces because of Mercury. There are 3 phases to Mercury going through Pisces that we have dealt with. And this weekend during the new moon is the final phase. The first one was, of course, Mercury's entry into Pisces, coinciding with a full moon. And that was a very peak level of mental energy. And in the few days up to that full moon to the few days after, we all became very, very aware of something, whether that was aware of something in our surroundings, agreements, opportunities, certain situations that were coming to a head, something going on in the body. We became very, very aware of something, but we didn't have the ability to react. It was the first phase. The second phase was the Sun, Mercury, Saturn triple conjunction. And that became a whole new level of awareness. We had some type of information, something with an authority figure. Some of us were taking on different roles. We were taking on some different kind of responsibility. We were dealing with something in regards to our responsibility to other people. We had something that came to light, or we ourselves, being the Saturnian ones, we were letting other people know of our decisions in that energy. Now we're in the third phase, and it's with this new moon in Pisces. And the way the last 2.5 weeks went for everybody is very, very different. But there's a commonality between a lot of us. One, we've had this entire timeline that we've needed to mentally understand something. We've been trying to process some type of information, process some type of situation. We've been trying to get something understood. There's something that we want to communicate. There's something that we need guidance on. There is some element that requires healing. And the way the healing goes from here is going to vary for everybody. Now, I include Mercury's energy because the start of this weekend, which was the most exact Friday morning, however, we were feeling it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, of course, and we're still feeling it Saturday until Mercury changes signs. Mercury's conjunction to Neptune. For some of us, this is a creation energy that feeds into the new moon. How we're going to take something that we've been thinking about and manifest it into a physical reality. There's something literally ingenuitive about it. Some of us, we've been having the craziest dreams for weeks. And frankly, I don't know who to blame more for this. I don't know if this is Saturn and Neptune being co-present, or the closer that Jupiter and Uranus are getting together. But I know no matter what, the dream energy has been crazy. And even people that don't dream, y'all have been dreaming, because y'all keep messaging me going, hey, what is this? And I've said this before, we're getting more and more to where the things that we are dreaming, they're not necessarily dreams, they are the premonitions. They are telling us something that is starting to take shape, that is starting to come together, that is starting to happen. What happens over the course of the rest of March, going through April and into the first parts of May, is transitioning us into new awareness and new beginnings to what will be our new version of reality. I've said for a while, we were at the start of the trickle effect. Now the rapids of the water are getting a little busier in this new moon. When we go through Mars is square to Uranus, which that perfects in less than a 24-hour span, we have Mars square Uranus, Mercury's entry into Aries, and the new moon in Pisces. They're all speaking together. Mars is square in Uranus is going to be a big push energy. And it's a push for something to be independent. It is a push towards some level of excitement. It is a push towards some level of direction. There's a trajectory in mind for many, many people. And Mercury's entrance into Aries speaks to our head being more wrapped around something. Over the course of the last 2.5 weeks, we either had a disruption in the body, and now Mercury's entry into Aries is going to be how we start the healing, the treatments, and that level of processing, the changing in our behavior and our habits. Mercury is going to be in Aries for 9 weeks, starting this weekend, starting in this new moon. We can create and start whole new healing habits in this new moon by wrapping our head around what we need to correct, whether it's in our diet, whether it's in our daily life and our physical routine, adding extra elements into our yoga practice or whatever you do on your daily, whatever you're needing to do to like do the physical change. Again, some of us, we've been wrapping our head around something that we want to build. For some of us, it's been in our business. For some of us, it has to do with something in our household. We've been wrapping our head around something that where we want to take a physical action. And Mercury's entrance into Aries during this new moon will be that physical action to create, to change. Our awareness and the thoughts that we've been having requires a change. Many of us are going to be creating a whole new avenue and a whole new atmosphere over the next few months based off Mercury alone. However, there are other levels of healing, emotional healing, whenever it comes to the idea of Pisces. There's emotional depths. Pisces is the final zodiac sign. Aries is the start. Some of us will need to start the process of long-term healing of deep-seated wounds. Now, the purging energy that we've gone through since last summer during that Venus retrograde, during the nodes squaring Pluto, and then everything with the South Node going through Libra, that purging energy to restore balance, for many of you, resulted in levels of a dark night of the soul. And now there's an emergence that's starting to come through. And whether you've gone through a dark night of the soul, or you've gone through some level of like a rehab, going to AA, NA, I think it's called Gamblers Anonymous, whatever that one is, whatever your vice has been, one of the steps is making amends. And many of you are going to be in the situation where you have to start to make amends. Sometimes we're the asshole. It's me. I'm the problem. And you know who you are. I'm not making fun of you. I'm being real. I just like to laugh sometimes. I'm a Gemini. Give me some grace on that. Sometimes we're the asshole, and we're very aware of this. And the actions that we have to take moving forward, the desires as to how we amend certain things, how we build bridges over troubled water, is going to require a consistency. And Mercury's entrance into Aries and the fact that it will be there for so long can speak to your efforts of consistency. Now, depending on how big of an asshole you have been, because sometimes we're big assholes, you will not always meet another side that's willing to accept apologies, that is open to you making corrective stride. And that is their choice. You can't push too hard because then it turns into something else. The initial push is necessary, but so is reception. Some people might be open to reception, but with hesitancy. You have to prove, so we have to be consistent. Be aware of that if you are in the starting of a healing process, of healing certain connections. Be aware that you have to show up. You have to do what you say you're going to do. You have to live up to your word. On the other end of that, if you are the receiver and the asshole has been the other person, we build bridges from both sides, guys. We don't always go from one side to the other. Roads exist on both sides of that water. So the bridges are built from both sides. Now you can be slow on your side, but if you're going to meet them, if you're going to allow somebody back in, you're going to give them the chance to make amends, hold them accountable without demeaning them. Speak clearly. Be clear on your expectations. Don't assume. Assuming makes an ass out of you and me, baby. Be receptive. If something's triggering, be honest. And understand that for a lot of people, these next few months have a very big energy towards healing. And I say that because while we get into eclipse season, both of the rulers of the eclipse axis will be going through Pisces during their respective eclipses. There is a lot of energy that speaks to healing. And this is the start of some very big healing for a lot of people. Long-term healing, deep-seated wounds being healed, dark night of the soul levels of healing and recuperation and recovery and awakening. There's a lot of actions and busyness that start in this new moon. Understand that it's going to be different for everybody. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and it's not all about manifestation. Some of us, we are going to be taking on new roles over the next few weeks. Those roles were identified during that Sun, Saturn, Mercury triple conjunction. And we're at the start of accepting new roles and new responsibilities. First things first, you have to be aware of your surroundings whenever you go into a new situation. You need to know how things have been working up until now. You don't just get to walk in the door and change everything on day one, babies. No, that's not how that works. First, you have to understand how things have been before you start to make rapid changes. See how they've been doing the work, see who's been doing the work, meet Bob, who's been at the same desk for 55 years, meet Susie, who handles all the accounts and will let you know if you can have a new stapler. Be aware of those surroundings first before changes start to come through. Changes will happen very quickly, but get aware of your surroundings first. And again, understand that it's still about creating a new habit, but first you have to understand your environment before we go into that new habit. Understanding the environment first, your surroundings first, having a good exit strategy, if necessary, is important. Now, the other element of Mercury's trip through Pisces has been that Mercury-Neptune. And other things that can start with this new moon can speak to lies, fraud, delusion, illusions. And I've seen both sides of this. One, I have seen people starting to realize they have trusted somebody they should never have trusted. And now the decisions are, how do we go from here? How do we correct things from here? And some of you, the next few months is going to be the corrective actions. I almost said creative. I don't know why. Corrective actions. Trying to get your money back. Trying to get restoration. Because you have figured out somebody has been lying to you in the Mercury-Neptune conjunction. And the thing is, whenever you find out you've been getting lied to, the reaction can be heavily fueled and volatile. Mercury in Aries is the start of pop-off season. Y'all the ones I'm expecting to pop off first. It's the truth. The other side of that, though, is some of us made agreements in these last 2.5 weeks. And the agreements we have made, we were not completely clear on something. We don't know who we're getting into business with. We don't know the full elements of the job that we're taking on. We don't know what's been going on behind the scenes because we are going to be the new arrival. We don't know who we can trust. That's a real thing. Be aware that many of us are going into things blindly. Some of us, we've just recently made some type of an agreement and we have all the hope in the world. It's going to be the most amazing thing. I'm going to be a billionaire by next year because of this great idea that nobody's ever heard of. Guys, not everybody's Elon Musk. Not everybody is Nikola Tesla. And even Nikola Tesla didn't make it to full fame and fortune. He was taken advantage of in a multitude of ways. Not every person you meet is going to be the next big thing. And if you go into something with blind hope, what you can find is by the time we get to the Mercury retrograde, is that the blind hope was a bad idea. It was a bad situation. And there can be some elements that go into this energy that, again, are temporary situations that result in whole new big realities later. And for some people, that can be all the promise in the world. And you could be investing in the right place. And if that's the case, I'm proud of you. However, not everybody's doing that. Not everybody's going to be doing that. Not everybody is going to turn things around. Neptune does not like to see things clearly. He doesn't like everyone else seeing him clearly. And there's a huge element to delusion that can be a part of this energy. So be aware of that. The recent connection that you have made could be false. They could be a fallacy. And I hate saying that But I am not the sunshine and rainbows astrologer. I never have been. I never will be, and never claimed it. Not for me. If you want a sunshine and rainbows astrologer, you should go find one. Have fun with that. All the best. I love you. No problem. Doesn't hurt my feelings. Anyways. Okay. If you have never done a new moon or full moon reading with me, that is okay. I read everything from a whole house system. What that means is that I don't care if your ascendant is at 2 degrees or 20 degrees, the entire zodiac sign that your ascendant is in is your first house. And every numerical house that follows will now be associated with the next zodiac sign. I pull cards whenever I start to go over the transits, and anything that comes to me intuitively are the things that I talk about. So knowing how that goes and knowing how all this can be, first things first, let's get into Aries and Aries risings. Oh, my loves, my loves, my loves. Mars is your chart ruler. That Mars-Uranus square, the 11th house to the second, friends, colleagues, clients, people that you surround yourself with. Uranus in that second house, there's can be something unexpected. It could be an unexpected financial situation. It can be unexpected heartbreak. It can be unexpected things that are coming through that really put a whole new mental focus for you. By the time we get to the start of next week, you are going to be far more aware of something that's been going on behind the scenes, going on below the surface, things that have been going on tied to health, whether it is your health or the other person's health, that is going to lead to a lot of undoing. In some ways, you have not wanted to believe that certain undoing is possible, but in all actuality, it's a big part of the energy as we move forward. Once Mercury comes into your first house, and again, this is going to be a part of Sunday. It actually happens late on Saturday night, but I'm just calling it from Sunday. You will become far more aware of your own decisions and how they're going to be impacting a situation. You are going to be learning of something as we go through Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday that you are not expecting. How something can be coming to a close, how others can be learning it, and you can be dealing with some type of situation, and how you will be making decisions on where you move forward from here. As we start this energy around this new moon, many of you are going to be becoming far more aware that something's coming to a close. Promises have been broken. Trust has been broken. Ties have been broken. Whether you are making the decision to break them from here once Mercury comes into Aries, or if other people showing their ass has made you far more aware that endings are necessary. Again, endings are very, very necessary. Got a lot of cards here that speaks to being on guard and being prepared. And not all of you are going to be prepared all at once. Please understand that so much of this energy will also speak to how we move into eclipse season. So many of you are going to be, as much as you need to be prepared, many of you are going to still be waiting for other things to come through, waiting to be served the papers, waiting for some level of a decision, waiting for somebody to act a certain way, to pull some kind of stunt. Many of you can be stuck in this waiting situation. The other cards that came through, we have the Queen of Coins. Remember, Uranus is in your second house of money. Many of you can actually benefit financially from whatever is coming through, but you're not going to benefit financially in the moment. It's going to take some time. There can be windfall energy whenever it comes to the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction once that goes exact in April. But the thing about any type of pentacle energy is that it's very slow moving. So again, there's other things that need to happen before the full elements of things need to come through. With this Tower card, this Four of Swords, and this Four of Coins, so much of this means being prepared, being on guard. The thing about the Four of Coins is sometimes it can be really stingy. We got to keep certain things close to us. You do need to keep certain things close to you because you don't know the full elements of things that are about to fall apart around you. This Hermit card speaks volumes. There's a lot of things that you have not been aware of, that you have been blind to, the habits of certain people, the health of certain people, the motives of certain people. There have been things that you have not been aware of. Many of you have thought that everything was going very, very well, but they haven't been. And after more things come to light, the first element of that speaks to Mercury's entrance into Aries. The next one will be whenever the sun goes into Aries, and that's going to be on the 20th. The things and the elements that come through over these next 10 days following the new moon really speaks to you needing to be far more aware. You will become more aware. You will learn new information. You will see the underbelly of a situation. You will see for sure that closure of something is necessary, and it will really ignite how you wish to proceed from here. So much of what's been going on behind your back that you have not been aware of is now about to ignite a new drive, a new passion moving forward. The thing about having so much energy going through your 12th house, that is the unknown, the unseen, and endings, karma, closure. There are big things for you guys that are coming to a close. They're coming to a close because the new version of you is meant to come through. And again, we're going into an eclipse season where the new moon and the Mercury retrograde is going to be in your first house, guys. You will be making major decision changes, whether that's in your body, whether that has to do with your identity, whether that has to do with the people that you surround yourself with, whether that has to do with how you make money. There are so many of you that are going through actual physical changes. And you are just now starting to become aware of what's necessary for those changes. For some of you, it has to do with people and the people that you have trusted. For others, it has had to do with your health. And again, we have to build a whole new routine to be able to pursue a new path from here. For many of you, it ensures your survival. But the other half of that is the South Node is going through your 7th house. Things that need to be cleansed, things that need to be purged, things that need to come to a close, things that will come to a culmination or an ending. Please understand, you are going to be becoming far more aware of the connections that need to end, the legal situations that need to come to a close or will be coming to a close. And for some of you, it's going to cost you money. For others of you, it's going to be making you a lot of money. It really kind of comes down to the way this is playing against your natal chart. But moving forward, whenever it comes to how things progress, you need to be on guard. Not everybody is your friend. Not everybody that you have had in your surroundings is trustworthy. And understand that there's a lot of closure that comes from the new moon in the 12th house. You are going to be making a lot of changes. You're on the cusp of making changes. And many of you have been feeling it for a while. If you've been feeling hollow, sadness, doubt, regret, be aware of that. The transits in your 12th house have been triggering things. They've been triggering the unsettled energy so that way you know where to change your focus and how you move forward from here, how you heal from here. You have a lot of things that are going to be making changes directly impacting you. But now we're going to go through a month of a level of undoing, revealing, exposure. And you're not going to like everything that you see. And it starts in this new moon. And for a lot of you, I'm sorry. I know what these things feel like. And they can be heavy. But that doesn't mean that you can't come out the other end in a good way. Okay. Okay. Moving this along. We're going to go to Taurus and Taurus risings. Babies, this is a new moon in your 11th house of friends and network and colleagues and people that we like to surround ourselves with. The ruler of this moon, Jupiter, is in your first house. You guys are making new connections. You guys are starting to look for new people to connect with. You are starting to think about how we want to be seen in this world. Many of you are starting to realize that some of the friends that you have had have not been the best friends to have. They just haven't been. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. Changes in our connections and who we surround with ourselves with is very, very necessary. The more you know, the more truths that are had, the more you realize that not everybody is for you. Not everybody can handle who you are now. You are starting to awaken to a whole new level of personal power. And not only is the ruler of this new moon in your first house, but we also have Uranus in your first, and Mars is going through the square to Uranus. Mars, Uranus. The more things are starting to change, the more of the information is starting to turn, the more you are starting to heal, the more you are starting to recover from the things that have gone on over the course of the last year for some, 2 to 3 years for others. Some can go all the way back to the energy that goes from 2018 when Uranus actually entered Taurus. A lot of this energy is now starting to shape who you're going to be next. You are awakening to so many things. And the possibility of what's coming together can be magnanimous. You are shifting, and you're going to start to realize that who you surround yourself with can really make the difference. Your tribe is so important. Now, for some of us, it has nothing to do with the tribe. It does have to do with the career, and it does have to do with how we want things to move from here. Some of us, we are trying to break from certain traditions with Uranus in the first, and we are trying to create our own path and our own way of doing things. For some of us, what's going on has to do with love and the people that we want to share our future with. Some of this has to do with kids, whether it's our children or the children of our significant other. There's a huge dynamic here that makes us aware of where we need to be making changes, of how we move forward from here, of how we overcome certain things from here. If we're blending the families, understand that that's going to have a test to it. If you're trying to make new challenges and new changes in your career, just understand that it's going to take time before everybody understands the changes that you're making. Not everybody is going to hear all the news all at once. There's a whole new energy and a whole new awareness of how we are spending our time surrounding ourselves with and where we hope to succeed and excel from here. Okay, the first 2 cards that came out were the Fool card and the Queen of Swords. Again, the new things that are coming through, we want to have our facts straight. Some of you are learning certain things about other people, and the more knowledge you gain, Mars square Uranus, the more you realize you're going to be cutting some people off. Because again, not everybody can handle the new person that's starting to come through for you. And I do mean coming through. The levels of healing that's necessary for you, the levels of things that are coming to light, that are starting to be realized, makes you more and more pursuant to the idea that how you want to succeed from here, you're going to be doing on your own and not so much with another person. Some of you are going to be breaking from tradition with this Hierophant card. Mars is in a square to Uranus in your first house. Working in the family business isn't necessarily how we want to continue from here. It isn't how we see our success and the things that we desire coming together. But that doesn't mean that the old way of doing things is wrong. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that it's not for you. Uranus's energy in your first house has been pushing you away from certain people more and more and more ever since its entry. And now over the next 2 years, we're wrapping this up. But the way we wrap this up is that Jupiter Uranus conjunction. That's not common. It's a really not a common transit. It happens roughly every 13 to 14 years. And now it's happening in your first house. The innovation, the ideas, the desire to be more independent, the need to be more independent, knowing that you're breaking away from society and breaking away from certain traditions, it's all very, very necessary. And as we move forward over these next few months, and as we go through the eclipse axis between your 6th and 12th house, the more aware that you are of escape, needing to escape, needing to break away, needing to break away from certain people. Your way of how you want to move forward from here is not going to be the traditional way of doing things. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. It speaks to who you are becoming now. Enjoy who that is. Enjoy who you're becoming. Not everybody's for you, and that's okay. Okay, moving this along, we're going to get to Geminis and Gemini risings. Oh, babies, babies, babies. I maintain that Gemini risings are not going to start to feel solid again until 1, Jupiter comes into your first house, but 2, until after Mars goes back through your first house. And that's not actually going to happen until the end of the summer. And that's going to be a lot of energy all in itself. But so many of you are still riding the aftermath of what freaking occurred back during that Mars retrograde. Now you're going into a new moon in your 10th house of career and public image and your desires for things into the future. We have goals and an idea and success in mind. And many of you are going through an energy where you're completing certain amounts of training because of that Mars-Uranus square. However, this is a new moon in your 10th house of career, while the ruler of your 10th house is in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. Some of you could be starting new jobs that can be equaling some level of personal peace and cleansing and healing that you have just never thought of before. And these next few months will speak to that. Others of you are entering some level of disruptive energy tied to career. And that really has to do with how the Mercury retrograde is going to go, because Mercury is your chart ruler. And Mercury going through that retrograde in the sign of Aries speaks to the fact that there's going to be disruption in the people that you surround yourself with. You know that not everybody is going to be trustworthy. Many of you already know that now. We're struggling with happiness in a lot of ways. We're struggling with feeling self-worth in a lot of ways. But understand that the levels of closure and the levels of things that are coming through, as fast as they're happening, are going to be taking a lot of energy. Now, whenever Mercury goes into Aries and being, that's your chart ruler, there can be the arrival of a new opportunity. There can be the arrival of you on the scene, meeting the new coworkers. There can be a new coworker that comes into play. There can be a new boss that comes into the office. There's something new that's meant to come through, whether that is based off of Mercury's entry into Aries or Venus's entry into Pisces. There is something new that's meant to shift the perspective. It's meant to shift the way the conversations have been. While Mercury has been going through Pisces, many of you guys have been going through timelines of like self-doubt. I don't necessarily know that I've made the right decision. I don't know that I'm in the right place. Some of you have been questioning whether you should have ever done things in the past. And the thing is like, we've been waiting for a certain energy to start to play out. Now, the good news is this is happening in Jupiter's sign. This is going to lead to some dynamic changes. Whether this dynamic change actually has to do with like your bosses, whether this has to do with family. Some of you might be dealing with something tied to like elders and fathers whenever it comes to the 10th house. there is a whole lot of energy that is speaking to a shift in who we are trusting and who we are surrounding ourselves with. If we've been experiencing trouble in career, there's a new level coming. There's a new dynamic coming. If you are just about to start a new career, a new job, or a new opportunity, then again, understand that that new has got hope to it. There is something hopeful that's meant to come through in these next few months. And many of you are either going to be finding yourself in a position that speaks to a whole new level of healing, or you're going to be finding yourself understanding that if we've been in this one career path for a really long time, that now moving forward, where we go next is going to be different. And that might not all come all during the new moon. That actually might be a big part of the process going through eclipse season, that the area where we have been excelling is not where we go anymore. We are going to start to move towards something where it speaks more to future independence and future prosperity. That can come through first with Jupiter's entry into your first house, but it's definitely going to come through whenever Uranus comes into your first house. I know that's still 2 years away, but it universally, the way the energy moves us into those situations, it starts way further back than what a lot of us realize. And so many of you are wanting to get into an energy where you're either escaping from where you're at or you're wanting to start something new. There's a new dynamic here. And if you're having issues at work, understand that the arrival of some other extra person or some extra element can be coming through very, very soon. If we're having the issues tied to father, I wouldn't be surprised by that. And the paternal side of the family, just because of the way these three cards came out together. Jupiter is in your 12th house. There are a lot of things that are meant to come to a close. Some of you are closing certain chapters in your life and seeing a new perspective of how you want to be independent in the future. Saturn going through your 10th house is meant to push for a certain level of success, but not all of you have reached that level of success quite yet. There is change and transformation that is necessary. There are things that we need to put back into balance. And with this Tower card, there can be a lot of things that start to fall apart. I think it's interesting that we keep getting the Tower card in so many aspects towards a new moon. Again, there can be the arrival, Three of Wands, Star card, Chariot, the arrival of a new person or a new situation. Some of us, you are the arrival, and you going into your new job, you quickly get a hold of everything, you get a grasp of everything, you start flowing with the people that are around you, and you move into something supremely dynamic. However, some of us, we are already in our situation. Not everybody's out there starting a new job all at the same time. Some of us, we are already in the situation, and the arrival is a new person that will be in your surroundings. And that arrival can lead to a whole different energy in the way that you see your surroundings. This Star card can be very much an epiphany card. And the thing is, in the tarot, the Star card follows the Tower card. Some of you have been having issues with bosses. But the thing is, bosses can be projecting their shit onto you based off what's going on in their life. If we've been having the issues with bosses, understand that whatever they've been doing in their projection could be leading to something else. And once that lead up happens, then again, you can start to feel a whole different level of change in your surroundings. There is an element that speaks to a lot of changes whenever it comes to who we trust, how we see success, and where that success is going to come from here. Some of you are starting a new job. Some of you are seeing the jobs change. Some of you are only dealing with things tied to family and elders. And if it comes down to the things around dad or the paternal side or even in-laws, that can be a big part of the energy too for Gemini risings. And again, there's a shift in the roles and the responsibilities and who is caring for what moving forward. You might not be completely aware of those roles at the time of the new moon, but you will be after Mercury goes into Aries and Venus comes into Pisces. It brings new awareness. It brings new ideas. It brings new people into the conversation that we don't have the week before. We might have an idea that somebody's coming, but they're not quite there the week before. Okay. Moving along for Cancers and Cancer risings. Now, in the most basic sense, a new moon in your ninth house can have to do with education and learning. It can have to do with institutions, higher education institutions. It can also have to do with travel. This is like super mundane energy whenever it comes to Cancers. Some of you guys are wanting to travel in this energy. I need a vacation. That's okay. Go on vacation, babies. That's okay. You can go on vacation. I'd rather if you're going to go on vacation, I'd rather you guys go on vacation before the Mercury retrograde than during the Mercury retrograde. Let's be clear about that. Just understand though, this timeline of you going on a vacation, if you're going out of town right now, can also mean that whatever is going to happen while you're gone, you're going to be dealing with the aftermath in one way, but that aftermath timeline will probably be when Mercury's in shadow. So if you're going on vacation, this is the week to do it and bring your ass back by the 18th. There you go. That's how I feel about that. However, not all of you are on vacations. Well, some of you could be traveling for work. Some of you could be going to talk to people in other areas, and we're doing extra efforts to get things financially lined out. Some of you could just be making travel plans for something that's going to happen in the future. Those are really mundane things. But a lot of the energy speaks to talking to people and learning new things in the moment, because there's so much fast moving energy that's starting to put a whole new focus on your career. And Mercury's entrance into Aries during this new moon speaks to a new thing and new topics tied to what you're doing in business. Some of you need to face some fears. And the sooner you face your fears, the faster things will be overcome. Some of you might be dealing with some financial things that you weren't anticipating with the Mars-Uranus square. Maybe you've given money to somebody that you trust, somebody in your surroundings, and they didn't necessarily, make a real quick entrance into paying you back. And now we're having to call some people out like, look, you borrowed money from me, and before you paid me back, you decided to go on vacation. No, honey, that's not how that works. You owe me money. Not everybody's going to like whenever you hold them to that level of accountability, but there is something that you can anticipate that can be getting revealed that impacts certain friendships and certain group connections, certain client connections. Some of you might be announcing something in these few days with that Mars-Uranus square and Mercury's entrance into your 10th house of career. That again is going to impact your finances, and it's also going to impact your clientele. There's so much of this energy that is building into where we go next and how we see our success from here. Again, Nine of Swords, we need to face a lot of fear because the energy is moving fast, whether you like it or not. Things are speeding up. It's about to get busier. It's about to get noisier. And I don't mean this in the negative sense. A lot of us are going to be having very determined conversations with the people that we surround ourselves with. We're going to be telling the people in our surroundings, hey, I work here now. Hey, I'm in this business now. Hey, I'm starting to do this now. Hey, I'm making these changes. And so much of this new moon speaks to revealing the things that you've been doing behind the scenes that not everybody has been working on. The thing about this moon is the fact with the moon doesn't reflect light, or sorry, it doesn't produce light, it reflects it. So there's a lot of things whenever it comes to the moon's chart, and the moon's part of this energy, that speaks to there are things that have been going on in the shadows behind the scenes that not everybody's aware of yet. But more and more are going to be becoming aware of it as more things come into balance for you. More people are going to be becoming aware of what you've been working on and the way that you have been putting things into this forward motion. The things that you're putting together speak to your heart's desires. We have so much in regards to career and our goals for the future and how we meant to how we are meant to succeed from here, that is starting to fall into place. We have a whole new level of personal power. However, not everybody's dealing with personal power. And sometimes whenever it comes to this moon injustice card, this again speaks to some people that have been taking advantage of your kindness, and they are needing to be held accountable. The thing about Mars in the 8th house is that can be shared assets and shared resources. And there are some people that we trust to do the right thing. Not everybody's willing to do the right thing. And there are some times where you have to be very, very loud and not so passive and face your fears and how you talk to certain people and how you deal with certain situations. Holding people accountable is not a negative thing. But a lot of the energy as to how we move forward speaks to overcoming fears, because where we go next in regards to career and future is so dynamically big. So many of you are starting to reach new levels of independence, are opening a whole new cycle in your lives. You're gaining a whole new chapter of how you're going to be progressing. For some of you, it's the next year. For some of you, it's the next 10 years, the next 18 years. For some of you, it's even the next 30 years. You know whether this energy is coming through for you in a negative way or a positive way. You know. I don't have to tell you that. But in the moment, some of us are gaining some experience. We're negotiating some things. We're making people invest. We're making people pay us back. We're putting some things in order and knowing that we will be announcing so many things in the coming days following this new moon, because so much of our path is starting to hit a whole new level of success, of breakthroughs and opportunities. I love this energy for Cancer risings. I really do. And I love the energy of how the next few months are going to go for Cancer risings. I think it's a great way to finally put some things in order after all of the shit you guys dealt with Pluto and Capricorn. I think it's a great way to deal with it. Okay, anyways. Moving this forward, we're going to get to Leos and Leo risings. Now, a new moon in your 8th house can be a mixed bag of energy. Some of you are having to deal with other people's bullshit, other people's drama. Some of you are really holding other people accountable with Mars going through your 7th house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. Some of you, where we go after this new moon, again, speaks to holding somebody else accountable for where they need to pay up. However, some of it has nothing to do with accountability. It has every bit to do with your new opportunities and your new partnerships and the people that you're starting to share your space with. A lot of Leo risings have had a very rough time when it has come to career over the course of the last year. And now we are getting into a whole new level of opportunity whenever it comes to career. And these next 2 months have a very big dynamic energy. They speak to wanting to do something differently. They speak to taking on a whole new level of information. And many of you can be dealing with how that is manifesting in good ways and bad ways. Some of you can be focused on how you're investing your time and investing your money so that way you have a good turnaround. Others of you can be dealing with somebody else's drama, and the more you get into their drama, the more you start to realize how much of their secrets are starting to come to the surface and how much they're impacting you. Other people, it's not secrets at all. It's a new path and career. It's a new opportunity, and it's going to help you overcome how you've been dealing with your debts and how you haven't been able to pay bills, and now we're going to be paying bills in a whole new way. Is it going to happen all during the new moon? No, not necessarily. The thing about these energies is that most lunations can take a whole moon cycle before they really pan out. But this moon cycle is the last moon cycle before we go into eclipse season. So for a lot of people, it's not just going to be the next lunation. It's not just going to be new moon to new moon. No, it's actually going to be the next 2 lunar cycles, because it's going to go all the way until the new moon in Taurus. Bah. For some, it's going to be the full moon Scorpio. For others, it's going to be the new moon in Taurus. It depends on where you're dealing with. If you're dealing with family issues, if you're dealing with, if the legal thing has to do with, the dissolution of a relationship or things around your children, then it could very much be that full moon in Scorpio. For other people, though, if it's had more to do with career and that's where your disruptions have been, then you're probably going to be not fully leveled out until we get to the new moon in Taurus. The next 2 months of lunation are going to be very important for you, Leo risings. So understand, I didn't say that to everybody. I'm saying that to Leo risings. This new moon can instigate a whole new financial element for you, but it can also be where you start to learn other people's secrets. And that's not always a good thing. Affairs can be a part of the 8th house. However, in the most minor sense, Mercury's entry into your 9th house can also lead to how you start dealing with higher institutions, whether that's court systems, higher learning, or anything along these lines. Some of you might also be wanting to get out of Dodge, just like the Cancer risings, and you're going to be going on a trip, and that's okay too. Again, I would rather people go on a quick little trip before the Mercury retrograde, but understand that you're going to be coming back to things that are kind of messed up that are going to take about 2 months to fully rectify. And that's kind of a pain in the ass if you really think about it. Okay. All right. We have a lot of air whenever it comes to your guys' cards. So we have the Knight of Swords and we have the 6 of Coins. Again, we are getting a lot of information, but for Leo risings, a lot of the energy around you right now is really focused on other people, whether it has to do with your relationship, a partnership, whether it is having to do with a legal matter, whether it is having to do with a partnership. A whole lot of this energy right here is speaking to understanding the give and take in the relationship and how much energy is being truthful and factual. Not everybody is getting all of the truth at once. 3 of Swords, Judgment card. When I keep saying the idea that there can be some secrets in this energy, please understand I'm very serious about the secrets. That 3 of Swords can very much be a betrayal card. But it can also speak to people that are struggling with their self-worth. And you do have Mars and Pluto now in your 7th house of relationships. There can be certain people that are getting very, very triggered that you would normally be able to rely on, that you're going to be learning that you can't rely on them anymore. And that can be a big part of the secret that starts to come to the surface. There are truths that are going to be getting spoken. Page of Swords. The more truth that's come through, the more revelations that come through. I'm keeping this Judgment card. The more you're going to start to realize where you go from here and how you wish to achieve certain things, your heart's desire. So many of the Leo risings, again, you guys have been really struggling whenever it comes to career. You've been struggling whenever it comes to your goals for the future. You've been struggling with how you wrap your head around certain things. And many of you are either being too stubborn in the moment and not willing to make changes, or you're being met with stubborn energy and they don't want to make changes. The thing about a new moon in Pisces is it's a mutable sign. Therefore, we make changes. We adapt. And this energy here speaks to where we need to have changes. The next 2 months is going to be a lot of focus as to where you want to go next into the future, where your hopes and dreams are. And understand, even if things aren't public right now, a lot of the energy is going to speak to things becoming very, very public over the course of the next 2 months. That means if we haven't been telling everybody, another way to say that is we've had some secrets, and those things can start to get revealed following this new moon. Things that we haven't wanted everybody to know can start to get revealed. Things that we haven't been willing to share with everybody can start to get revealed. understand that as much as this can be financial, I don't feel like this is financial for everybody. For some, it is. You can go into a new career and again find ways to start paying off certain debts. What you can also do is find out where there have been some additional debts that you weren't aware of and they're tied to another person. And maybe that has to do with vices. Maybe that has to do with addiction. Maybe that has to do with gambling. There are things that can be very, very revealed that now impact the way you see another person. And that speaks the most through the Mars-Uranus square. That's perfecting during this new moon. But once you become aware of it, it really will speak volumes as to how you move forward from here, how you continue from here, how you deal with things and certain people from here. Okay. Okay. I don't know why I was clicking that. Okay, moving forward. For Virgos and Virgo risings, this is a new moon in your 7th house of relationships. Relationships, partnerships, legal matters, other people and their drama and their bullshit. However, with the Mars-Uranus square feeding into this, some of you are going to be making some big changes in your routine based off of how things have been going for you in relationship. Some of you are in the process of having a relationship dissolve. Others of you are making new partnerships that are going to require relocation. I do feel like a lot of Virgo risings are going to be going through levels of relocation as we get closer to that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, because it's in that 9th house. Whether that is starting the commitment to move in with another person, whether that is letting go of the past and starting to make slow steps into a new direction. You could be looking at the idea of moving your household. But the other half of that is that you could be moving your household because you are in separation. As much as you can be coming together, you can also have some things falling away. And it really kind of comes down to how the last year has gone with Saturn and Pisces. Because the thing is that this new moon, we've now had Saturn in Pisces for a year. So you know the weight of Saturn right now is either showing you how you are connecting with other people in a good way or a bad way. Are they seeing you as a more responsible person? Are you gaining more responsible partners? For you guys, it's really interesting because with Neptune going through Pisces the way that it has been, you have not seen every relationship in a good way. It's been very, very easy to get caught up in the moment of delusion. Like, oh, the most romantic person ever. And they're giving you the bare minimum. And now with Saturn in this area, is like bare minimum is no longer acceptable. And either you are no longer accepting the bare minimum or your partner is no longer accepting the bare minimum. And this is going to lead to a lot of major financial changes that some of you may not be prepared for, but you don't really have a choice. It's time. It's time to be more prepared. It's time to work through these things. You can also find yourself starting something new with a new person that can later on result in fast moving energy. And it really kind of comes down to how and who this is dealing with. Now, the other effect that this can have to do with can also have to do with health. Mars in the 6th house, squaring Uranus in the 9th. If it has to do with health, it's not a surprise. You've had fair warnings up until this point. Nothing about this new moon screams everything is all raw, brand new. There's been a lot of buildup to it. And that new energy can also speak to things that are going to lead to a financial change. A lot of this speaks to how it's going to lead to financial change. If you're two people coming together and starting to move into your new place, that of course is going to be financial change because we're going to be able to split the bills differently. The rent is going to be different. The mortgage payment's going to be different. The way that we contribute our money and the way that we spend our money together and separate is going to be different. If the change is that we're moving away from somebody, you again might not be completely prepared for that. Nine of Wands, Four of Swords. But you need to start getting prepared. And many of you can be just in preparation mode, knowing that certain commitments will not be the same moving forward. I feel like for a lot of you, relocation is very much in the cards. And the thing is like, you have not been fast to focus on this. You've not been fast to commit. You've not been fast to make all of these decisions with the Knight of Coins energy. But given the way a lot of this is, a lot of you did have to make a decision, and you made that decision back during the full moon in Virgo. And now you're going to see how the weight of those recent decisions are starting to impact other people. In some ways, you knew what was going to happen. Intuitively, you knew how the behavior would go. You knew how the situation was going to happen. And you need to remain centered in your decision, strong in your decision. You know what you need to change. You know what you need to let go of. You know how you need to move forward from here, and how you can see yourself when you desire to see yourself in the future. Whether that is on your own or within partnership, strength is necessary. Listening to your intuition is necessary. And moving forward is necessary. But not all of you are moving forward in a way that you are prepared for. And much of the energy since that full moon in Virgo has been about overcoming certain fears, becoming far more prepared, and moving in this new direction. The thing about the Knight of Coins is it is a slow moving energy. You have been slow to make decisions. You have been slow to commit. You have been slow to break up. But being slow is not going to be in the cards much longer. In a lot of ways, you're going to have to pick up speed. It is time to pick up speed. Okay. Moving this along. We're going to get to Libras and Libra risings. Oh, my loves, my loves, my loves. Okay. A new moon in your sixth house can have to do with wanting to make some changes in your routine, changes in your health, changes in the way that you care for yourself. Some of you are going to be doing some changes in regards to work. And the thing is, somebody can be pressing your luck and pressing your buttons. Why do I say that? Because Mars is in your fifth house of love and luck and romance and joy and happiness and children. And it's squaring Uranus in your eighth house. This is a financial house. If certain people in work are pressing their luck and pressing your buttons in the negative way, it can lead to separation in the weeks to come. It can lead to you wanting to cut certain people off, and that decision will be your decision that you will be making. Are you going to be making it in this new moon? No, not necessarily. What you can be doing in this new moon is committing to what you want, committing to what's best for you in your mental health, in your physical health, in your emotional health. Some of you are going to be learning of something that requires you to make certain changes in your health, so that way you can achieve something that you're trying to achieve. There can be work involved in more than one way. For some of you, it can actually have to do with your career. For others of you, it's going to have to do with where you're investing your time and your energy. Now, some of you might be really making changes based off of another person. And again, this can have to do with relationships, but this can also have to do with certain business partnerships, because Mercury is going to go into your seventh house of relationships, partnerships, legal matters, and that's where he's going to be for 9 weeks. And it starts during this Mars-Uranus square. The situation tied to another person can make you want to change something financially. It can make you become more aware of the acts, actions, and attitudes of other people that no longer fit your needs. Some of you might have some type of news, some type of communication that again is going to impact you financially. You can be blindsided. And I hate to say that, but it is the truth. And it can have to do with the health of another person, specifically elders. And the responsibility or the choice to take responsibility can be what impacts you financially. Many of you are on the verge of making very big changes for yourself and committing to whole new ways of doing things. And that can be good and that can be bad. It really kind of depends on the way other people are behaving. Some of you are going to be getting met with conflict in the coming weeks. And that conflict is going to lead to, again, you making some very major changes for yourself as we get closer to eclipse season. That eclipse is going to be in your first house, babies. I'm warning you now. You are going to want to commit to a lot of things in regards to how you're caring for yourself and how you are caring for other people that are going to lead to changes to you, for you, around you. You will be making some sacrifices, whether that sacrifice is, I'm not going to work here. I don't care if this job pays me 6-7 figures a year. I can't handle the bullshit anymore. Or I won't put up with your drama. I won't put up with your nonsense. I won't put up with the way that you're treating me. Some of you, you're going to be meeting somebody new, meeting a new situation, coming into a new opportunity, a new partnership, that it screams a shift in luck and a shift in finances. And again, the decision for you to go into that new direction is still a decision that you are going to be making. But there's a lot of things that speak to decisions and the amount of work you need to do. We have the Two of Cups. Of course, this is a lover's card, but I also look at two things coming together. Mercury will be coming into your seventh house of relationships. There will be a new opportunity, a new situation, a new person in some way, shape, or form that is going to lead to something new coming together. And that's why I'm more with the Two of Cups on that, coming together. And I do feel like there's going to be a lot of opportunities whenever it comes to all of these Aries transits. Some of you are going to be looking at the idea of potentially going into a partnership and moving into a certain direction. With this Eight of Coins, there's a lot of work here. But for this work, there requires, again, certain decisions that we want to make or need to make to be able to reach a certain amount of success and achievement. The thing about the Eight of Coins and the Two of Coins, the Eight of Coins being a work card, we have to put in the work to get the reward. The Two of Coins being the decision card. You put 2 and 8 together, you get the 10. We love that 10 of coins. We love that 10 of Pentacles. But certain decisions need to be made in regards to the work that needs to be done before achievement can be had, before we can reach these levels of success. And there is a lot of success coming very, very quickly with this Chariot card. But again, understanding that some of the things that are going to be uncovered these next few weeks may have conflict. This is your last card. Means that there can be some of us that are going to be holding other people accountable. Some of us that are not going to put up with other people's bullshit anymore. We are not going to still do the same things anymore. And so many of you, once we get to the start of eclipse season, are going to start making huge changes as to what you will no longer take on. You will be making sacrifices, but that also can mean you can be cutting off certain people that are forcing you into sacrifice. You can be cutting off the people that have made you sacrifice too much. But some of you, based off of Saturn in the 6th house, can be making changes in regards to a personal sacrifice to care for another. You're making a lot of changes. And you can have an opportunity that arrives following this new moon. Whether this new moon is having to make sacrifice to care for another person, or sacrificing the old way of doing things, the old job, the old connection, the old partnership, that old relationship, to move forward into something else. Your luck is shifting. And I really like the energy for you guys. And in the moment, you can be just doing something super small and mundane to build a new routine. But I don't feel like it's going to be small and mundane for long. I feel like other people are going to be a big influence as to how we continue from here. Okay. I forget whenever I record on the weekends, it gets a lot louder outside. Okay. All right. For Scorpios and Scorpio risings, this is a new moon in the 5th house. Love, luck, joy, romance, happiness, children, things that are tied to personal happiness can be a big part of this energy. Some of you can be having new things that are starting up around your children. Some of you can be feeling a whole new shift in your luck moving forward. And considering Jupiter is in your 7th house of relationships, some of that luck can have to do with another person. Sometimes we have certain people that come into our lives that are meant to help us get through a situation and overcome certain things. Some of us are going to have certain levels of healing that are tied to other people. Now, given that the Mars-Uranus square is going through that 4th house of home, life, and family, and both the chart rulers, Mars and Pluto, are in the 4th house of home, life, and family, some of the healing and the happiness that can be coming along might not have to do with another person in regards to partnership per se, unless you're in that type of partnership. But it can also just have to do with family, healing in the family, healing the roots, healing the past, healing certain wounds. There's a lot of things that need to transform, a lot of things that need to be overcome. This can be a very joyful, happy, lucky new moon. However, with that Mars-Uranus square, there can also be a little bit of conflict. Now, some of what can come through is going to speak to health. And with Mercury going into the 6th house of health, a lot of you can be starting to focus on a new routine, whether this is a work routine, whether this is a health routine. There's a big energy towards shaping a new routine, shaping a new way of doing things. And for some of you, it is going to benefit others more so than ourselves. It is to bring more production. It can be something that can bring more profitability later on. For some of you, it has to do with putting things in order for your health, so that way we don't have to deal with negative things later on. It really kind of comes down to how Mercury in Pisces has manifested for you guys, because it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been an easy energy for everybody. Some of you have had the potential of a romantic connection, the potential of a romantic partnership that was really just us confusing a friend for a lover. Not everybody's been that energy. Some of you are in committed relationships, and a lot of where you've been seeing changes has had to do with friends. But understand that there's so much of this dynamic that speaks to a new way of moving forward, a new form and routine, a new way to care for ourselves, a new way to care for our family, a new way of doing things, and a new way of being seen in this world. With Pluto in Aquarius, don't take into the effect of the 4th house. It is just Pluto in Aquarius. There's so much of this energy that speaks to, for Scorpio risings, that who we are is being seen by the world differently. By our family, yes, but by the world. And there is a very big awareness that so many of us have gone through different levels of transformation. Whenever the South Node was going through Scorpio, many of us went into hiding. We became more reserved. We didn't want to be seen. We didn't want to deal with other people's drama. And even during that Mars retrograde, we didn't want to be seen. There's a whole lot that had to do with secrets. The Venus retrograde in our 10th house, we didn't want to be seen. We didn't want to be dealt with. We didn't want to be a part of a lot of things. But now, as we move forward, we can start to really see that a lot of the issues from the past are behind us with the 6 of Swords. And we can see new ways of doing things moving forward. There is a happiness. There can be a healing. There can be a whole new level of emotional trust that can be established. Many of us know that. And if your intuition has been telling you of something or someone is coming back soon, coming through soon, or some level of change is coming around your kids, your intuition has been telling you something for quite some time with this High Priestess card. And a lot of that intuition is telling you how the head and heart are going to be coming into alignment. Temperance card. But the way that happens can have conflict. And that is spoken based off of that Mars-Uranus square. There can be some tension and there can be some arguments. There can be some frustrations. There can be some hard conversations that we need to have with certain people so this level of temperance can be reached. So this level of healing can be reached. So we can, in fact, go over those troubled waters, Six of Swords. But understand, in a lot of ways, it is better to be lucky than smart. And again, this is a new moon in the 5th house of luck. Happiness is possible. New ways of succeeding possible. New forms of pleasure possible. But make sure we're doing it in the right way and in the healthy way. If over the last 2.5 weeks you have made a new romantic connection while Mercury was going through Pisces, we can be confusing a friend for a lover. However, not everybody has been in that level of confusion. Some of you have been dealing with something tied to your children. And again, whether it's had to do with children, whether it has had to do with family, whether it has had to do with a potential love interest, there will be some kinks to work out. Doesn't have to be a bad thing. It really comes down to how you handle the situation. Not everybody has been willing to handle certain elements of the situation, but moving forward, the thing is, we are going to be making huge dynamic changes because now we're going into an eclipse season that includes our other chart ruler. It includes Mars. And that's going to either speak to volumes in regards to how we are successful. It is going to speak to how we are of service to others. And the more we are of service to them, the happier we can be. But it also speaks to how we are going to have financial gains later this year. Our luck in this new moon is shifting. Our connections with other people is shifting. The awareness of what we have gone through and who we have been becoming, our transformation that we have not let everybody into, is going to become more aware. It will become more known. And a good portion of the next 9 weeks, we will be building a whole new routine, a whole new way of doing things, a whole new production. And for many of us, it's something a long time underway that is going to be going up to the next level, and it's going to impact the way that we connect with other people. It is going to connect our own personal independence, and it is going to connect our family. In some way, shape, or form, our family will be connected. A whole new tradition that we are creating. That we are creating. It can be a lot of fun if you use the energy appropriately. Okay. We're going to move this along. We're going to get to Sagittarius and Sagittarius risings. Babies. This is a new moon in your 4th house of home life, family, roots, ancestry, genetics. Not everybody includes genetics with the 4th house, but I do. I've seen it come through too many times. There is something around the home life, around our children, around our family. It is time for certain things to be overcome. There are things in regards to our own personal health and personal wellness that need to be understood. Many of us are starting to create a whole new level of boundaries within the family. Some of us are starting a whole new cycle in the family. Some of us are going to be overcoming past situations and bringing more truths to light. The thing about the way we see our family versus the way our family sees each other within the family, everybody has a different perspective. We all got somebody in our family that they say, that's the crazy uncle. But really, the crazy uncle is just considered crazy because he only shows up for holidays to eat a meal and then he's gone. He doesn't partake in all the drama. But that's what makes him crazy. Oh, he's just difficult. He just doesn't want to deal with everything. He doesn't want to be a part of this family. No, he doesn't like the drama. Some of you are going to be telling somebody moving forward, I don't like this drama. I am tired of this bullshit. The thing about Jupiter, your chart ruler, being in the sixth house is that so much of this energy still speaks to how you are caring for yourself and healing. And where the healing is now is in the other Jupiter sign. It is in the home life. It is in the family. It has to do with the past. It has to do with genetics. And it also has to do with how it has been impacting your own personal happiness. Because Mercury is going into Aries, your fifth house of love, luck, romance, joy, happiness, and children. Many of you are still kind of trying to understand, where's the luck? Where's the shift? When's it going to get better, Dusty? I'm hearing it a lot. It's going to get better. In eclipse season, it's going to get more vibrant and busier in eclipse season. Right now, the focus is getting the home life situated, becoming more in tune with the family, getting things settled in regards to, travel, getting things settled with siblings, getting things settled down with other people, because their energy and their impact has been keeping us from being able to really focus on how we move forward from here. Some of you have been getting triggered about certain wounds that have been needing to be dealt with since that Mars retrograde. And for those that don't know, the Mars retrograde was in your seventh house of relationships. And this was a big portion of how you ended 2022 and you started 2023. That Mars was in Gemini for 8 months, from August to March. And the things that were unveiled during that timeline have now deeply impacted the way that you are seeing family moving forward. Many of you are starting to recognize that to be happy moving forward, we have to address the family trauma. We have to deal with the old wounds. We have to let go of the past. But to let go of the past, we must face parts of the past. And again, we are looking at the energy of holding other people accountable. For some of you, that accountability is having to do with your siblings, because Mars and that Mars-Uranus square is in that third house. And the third house has a lot to do with siblings. For some of you, it has to do with the aunts and the uncles, because Uranus is in the sixth. For some of you, it has to do with what's going on with your mothers and the matrons or grandmothers and other elders. There is a shift and an awareness of things that are impacting the family. They have been for a while, but we're far more aware of it now. And as we mentally process and we start to voice a lot of these things, the more we start to voice the things that we need to deal with and that we need to overcome to heal, the happier we're going to become. The more the energy will shift luck into our favor. There's a lot of things that need to come to light. Things that have been going on behind the scenes for quite some time that has made it so hard to heal. The moon, again, does not produce light, it reflects it. And there's a lot of things that can stay in the shadows. The Eight of Swords speaks to mental prisons and things that we don't necessarily want to face, things that we want to give up on, but we can't give up on them. That's not something that we have the chance and the joy of being able to do. Now, with the Three of Swords, many of us are going to have to deal with levels of betrayal, whether that is betrayal within the family, betrayal from relationships. There's levels of betrayal and heartbreak. In so many ways, heartbreak that need to be overcome, that need to be healed, deep-seated wounds. The thing about this Five of Cups is that in the classic deck, there's two cups sitting upright that are completely full. But there's a man leaning over three spilt ones that he's crying over. And I have a good way to look at this card. You got two hands and two cups with stuff still in them. Get the cups that are full. We don't need to cry over spilt milk. We don't need to cry over the things that we've left behind that are no longer for us. We outgrow them. We start to find new paths and new ways of doing things. And many of you are starting to pursue new paths once we get through a certain amount of healing. And those paths have a lot of promise. But that promise is not going to come through in the new moon. The promise is going to be things that we work through as we go through eclipse season. And as we started to get into a lot more of those summertime transits. Be looking forward to the summertime. That's when you're really going to feel a lot of these things change. We have to stop dwelling on the past. There's a way to talk about past situations without dwelling on them. There's a way to hold people accountable and still give them grace to be themselves. And we need to find that happy medium. There are things that are changing in the family, in the household. Now, some of you, this has nothing to do with healing. And this has every bit to do with the fact that you need to create a new space in the home for your work. Because you're going to start working from home. You're going to start doing more things in your business from home. And that's what you need to work through. And as you get that going, so too is the shift in your luck. So too is the shift in how you connect with certain people. You are shifting. But it's a slow shift. And as we get closer to the transits that are going to come through in April and May, you will start to feel a whole new benefit. But there's a process to it first. And whether that process is renovating the house or dealing with family traumas, whatever it is, the process is going to be a big portion of these next 2 months moving forward. It's going to get busier. It's going to get busier. Okay. Okay. For Capricorns and Capricorn risings, this is a new moon in your third house of communication, short distance travel, siblings. Some of you are going to be having to deal with some things tied to siblings. Some of you are having to change the way that you communicate. Some of you are starting to want to communicate with certain people. You are desiring it, but you are either waiting to pull the trigger or you're waiting for somebody else to pull the trigger. Now, some of you need to stop waiting. Some of you, not all of you. With the Mars-Uranus square, there is this energy that speaks to an activity, unexpected, exciting type of activity. And it can be an unexpected shift in luck, unexpected shifts in love and romance. Some of us need to do this very strategically. Not only are we going through the new moon, and you can see that it's actually the most exact, again, it's the most exact at 4 a.m. So when the ascendant is in your first house, that is when the new moon is going on. Many of you are going to be feeling called to start having certain conversations. You're going to start making plans to make certain conversations. You are going to be wanting to talk to certain people a certain way. Some of you need to be strong, knowing that it's time for these things to be pursued. Others of you, and you know where you're at in your situation, others of you need to be patient. How we move forward from here is going to take a lot of strength, a lot of building, and it's going to be something that impacts your future and your home life moving forward. Coinciding with this new moon, Mercury is entering the fourth house of home life, and family. A lot of the conversations and how the next few months move forward is going to be how we solidify, correct, cleanse, and heal certain things tied to family, tied to this part of our journey. Some of us were going to be making some very, very hard decisions that we've been very slow with making. And you know what you're dealing with. Sometimes you are the slow moving energy. Sometimes other people is the slow moving energy. Whatever it is, this, even though this is a new moon, we're not as surprised about what's unfolding around us in the new moon. We're really not. If everything was at the beginning of certain signs, that I would say, oh, everything's new, but it's not all new. We are taking an existing situation and now we're moving into the new. So if you have been dealing with something in separation for a while, then that means you are going into the new level of how you either unify that or how you separate it more, how you denounce certain things more. There is a mental shift and how things are going to continue from here. A lot of you need to start whole new levels of healing communication. That does speak through the new moon. This is a new moon in Jupiter's sign, and Jupiter is also in that 5th house of love and luck and romance and joy and happiness. And so many of you are moving towards a whole new level of happiness. But before you can make this happiness happen, certain efforts must be made. You know if you're the one that needs to make the effort. You know if you are the one that needs to be patient. It's not a coincidence right now. Strength is necessary. Now, some of you might also be dealing with new things in regards to siblings, because this is a new moon in that 3rd house of siblings. And understand that sometimes you just need to spend a little bit more time with them. And the more time you spend, the happier things can be. Some of you might also be getting asked by siblings about financial matters. Can I borrow some money? Can you help me out with this bill? And sometimes holding them accountable in a whole new way is a necessary part of that decision. Whenever you have been too in charge and too responsible on everyone else's behalf, and they are not going to necessarily like for you to make that kind of decision. But we're all in different stages, and we're all helping people and helping ourselves in different ways. With this Queen of Swords, you know the facts already. You know where you're at already. You know where the information is already. Some of you are going to be making very slow steps in healing certain connections, in healing certain communications. But the thing is like, you've been in slow mode for a while. You know what your heart desires. You know what you want. You know who you want. You know who wants you. But we can't get everything overnight. Mercury is going to be in Aries for 9 weeks. And I'm telling you, a lot of people will be using this energy strategically, whether they know it or not, to create a new long-term habit. We need the entire timeline to make something occur, because the level of happiness and success that is meant to be a part of that Libra full moon speaks volumes for you guys on how we continue from here. The new moon itself can just be a small decision that's going to be a big impact towards the future. For some of you, you've already made the small decision before this new moon. You made it during the Sun, Mercury, Saturn conjunction that happened at the end of February. For some of you, it was during the full moon in Virgo. And you've just been wrapping your head around certain things, and now you feel like you can finally voice something in a different way. And that voicing is going to be something that can potentially impact the family. It can impact your children, and it can impact the way that things are moving forward from here. This is an interesting new moon for your guys because it's so convoluted. And I said that as the entry for this week ahead episode anyways. We're all in different places and we're all in different phases, but so many of you are going to be taking an action this weekend that leads to some level of healing. And just, again, it is necessary. Now, it might not be directly in the weekend. It could actually be in the days that follow, because Mercury's entry into Aries is going to be coinciding with this. But Venus's entry into Pisces, that's going to affect Monday and Tuesday. Slow moving, healing communication with the people around you. Whatever starts to go forward from here is not going to be quick. The changes in the family moving from here is not going to be quick. The information tied to matrons and mothers will not be quick to be understood. But understand that the decisions that are going on right now are going to impact the family moving forward. They're going to impact the home life moving forward. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. And if you guys are hearing background noise, I apologize. My neighbor is outside and they are apparently going to be working on trucks because I just heard most of that. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. For Aquarius and Aquarius risings, babies, this is a new moon in your second house of money. Money, assets, values, but Mars in your first house is making a square to Uranus. Many of you have either recently made a decision or are about to make a decision that's going to deeply impact the family and the level of independence, whether you are moving independent from another person, moving forward in a whole different way. There's going to be something that is kind of rattling and shaking that can come through. It doesn't have to be during the new moon. I feel like for a lot more Aquarius risings, you guys are dealing with the Mars Uranus square, and it is going to be something that later on impacts you financially. But in the moment, we're having a lot of tests and changes in this area. So again, new moon in the second house of money, but Jupiter is in the fourth house. Saturn, one of your chart rulers, is in the second house of money. And many of you might have had to make some financial decisions as to what is about to occur. You had to put some money up, you had to pay for something. But it has to do with other things in the moment. Now, can there just be, in the most mundane sense, can there just be something exciting going on this weekend? Absolutely. There can be something super exciting going on. But for a lot more people, the decisions and the communication of what has been had recently, once it becomes more enlightened with the family, once more people become aware of the decisions and the changes that you are making, there's going to be a lot of frustration. And either you will be making the decision here pretty soon to leave certain people behind, or they will be so mad at you for your decisions that they will be leaving you behind. Be aware of this. Be aware of how things are moving forward. The longer you have transits in your first house, which, I mean, you've got Pluto here now. This is going to be a 20-year cycle. But we've also had Mars and Venus going through your first house. Before that, we had the Sun and Mercury going through your first house. You have been making a lot of decisions. You have been doing a lot of things. You have been doing a whole different level of energy that not everybody's aware of, but something tells me all of your recent decisions are in the process of coming out. Some have already come out, more are about to come out, and not everybody is happy with what you're doing. Not everybody is happy with where you're going. Not everybody is prepared for the full extent of what you feel is necessary and the accountability. However, for you to be able to meet a whole new level of stability in your actual life, internal stability in regards to having your head on heart in alignment, all of the shakeups that you are going through are very, very necessary. Healing from the past and taking those past wounds and putting them into a whole different form. So many Aquarius risings, I have been seeing you just in full purge mode. All of these wounds, all of this trauma, all of this healing. And the thing is the more you purge, the more you process, the more you deal with the things that you have been holding back for so long. Pluto and Capricorn, Pluto in your 12th, guys, you guys have just bottled up your trauma. The more you have been dealing with the bottled up energy and letting it loose, other people cannot handle it. And some of you, you've had to push certain people away going, hey, like, look, I need to deal with this. I need to deal with my shit. I need to handle these things. And not everybody can handle that. The thing is, there's a whole level of truth in your energy that is so necessary to be able to get through the healing, to get to your new normal and get to this whole different level of stability, that we need to go through some negative energy for a while to and I don't mean negative. I know I'm saying negative. I'm saying impactful more than negative. We need to go through the impactful energy and what has come through from your recent decisions before we can reach that new level of stability. And not everybody is going to like the level of accountability you are holding up. These were the next three cards that came out with the Five of Swords, by the way. We have this Eight of Cups. There's certain people that we have had to walk away from. Some people, they didn't need to be a part of the healing process, and we've had to say, I need space. That was necessary. This Ten of Swords, not everybody is going to like the decisions that you have made. They're not going to like you holding them accountable. There are going to be other people that whenever we start holding our family members accountable, they can't necessarily side with us. Some of us, if we are starting to heal things tied to family, then it's our partner that can't handle certain things. And understand that for a lot of you, there is going to be a lot of energy about, one, not focusing on the past anymore and staying more focused on what we have moving forward. Two, letting go of old wounds and old trauma. And whether that means walking away from the people that created those wounds, or finally healing, because it is a new moon in Pisces, because there'll be a lot of healing those things. There is a lot of things that speak to your decisions, your communication, your surroundings, going through a level of healing, but it's an impactful healing. And not everybody is going to like your decisions. Mercury coming into Aries, there's a lot of things that go to communication, branding, but there's a whole different level of things where it comes to the decisions. And I feel like with Mars in your first and Mercury entering your third, the impact of your decisions are going to be what's very, very loud. But I'm telling you, whenever we get closer to that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that happens at the end of April, it's how we end eclipse season. Once we get to that energy, we start to stabilize things. And there are energies in the cards that speak to that future stability. We need to balance things. Things need to be brought into a better balance. Things need to be far more fair. The next energy, the next eclipse, the start of eclipse season, the next lunation, it is the full moon in Libra. That is justice. That is balance. We start to get things put more into balance. The Four of Wands is all about stability. I always compare this to chair legs. You want all four chair legs to be level on the floor before you put your ass on the seat. We have levels of stability. We have things that are going to come into balance. And we have this energy that is starting to speak to purging that old energy and getting everything else back into internal alignment. Once this internal alignment can be met, the external alignment will then fall into place. But you need to do the inner work first. And so many of you are going through the process of making the decisions of the inner work. And once those decisions have been made and they become far more pronounced, the way things will progress from here, not everybody is going to be happy with you. Not everybody's going to like the fact that you're holding a mirror up to them. You are not always going to like when the mirror gets held back. All of it is very, very necessary. All of your decisions, all of the rebranding, all of the marketing, all of the financial changes, because for some of you, it will be financial changes, are speaking to how you are going to be independent moving forward. So some of this can have to do with career. But there is a huge shift in the conversations in the room. For many of you, it has to do with family. For others, it's going to have to do with the money and where the money's coming from and how it's getting spent, and how it's getting made. For others of you, you're going to be having to deal with the past and those old wounds that are starting to be coming from the closet. There's so much about wounds and trauma that I'm serious with Aquarius risings. You guys are having to face so much. And some of you have already been seeing the patterns. Like all of a sudden, like there's this new freaking purging trend on TikTok of like decades of wounds that are being spoken about in long format stories. I know y'all got Aquarius placements. I know it. I've seen it. Some of you are my clients. Others of you, I'm dealing with the people that are having to be pushed away. I'm dealing with the people that don't know how to handle it. I'm having to explain to them this is what they're going through. But there is a level of healing that is starting to be communicated, that is starting to come through. The recent decisions are starting to be known, and they're going to make major impacts. Not everybody is happy with you. I need you to be aware of that. Some people are going to be super angry about the decisions that you made, but I want you to know that you were not wrong. You did the right thing. You have been doing the right thing for you. Okay. Moving this along. For Pisces and Pisces risings, babies, this is the new moon in your first house. The Mars-Uranus square is going from your 12th to your 3rd. There can be an unexpected decision. There can be closure. And that closure is a part of your new beginning. That closure is a part of how you heal and cope with things from here. There's a new version of you that is coming through in this new moon in Pisces. There's a new version of you that not everybody is going to recognize. The old you is falling away. And the more accountable that you are holding others to, the more you are starting to realize the old you is gone. Not everybody is used to this version of you yet. And some people are going to be questioning what the hell's gotten into you. What's going on with you? Why aren't you, being the little pushover that I've always known you to be? Why aren't you just putting up with the shit? Why aren't you taking what I have to say? You're sick of their shit. You're tired of feeling overwhelmed. You're tired of feeling like everybody can pick on you. You're tired of feeling that level of abuse. And you're going to be voicing that in many, many ways. Uranus in your 3rd house has already made you quite outspoken over the last few years, but the level of strength and accountability in this outspokenness is new. And many of you are going to be at the point where you're just cutting people off. Friends, clients, loved ones. There's a cutoff. Others of you are going to be starting a whole new project. New things in your identity, new ways of making money, new ways of reaching out to clients. And the old way doesn't have to be so impactful. It doesn't have to be so crazy. It just has to be the new version of you coming through. New strength, new ideas, new ways of creating things. But again, you know the new, and you know what you're wanting to work on. And a lot of this energy speaks to the new version of you that is a year plus in the making. And I do mean that, because we've now had Saturn, literally as of this week, we've now had Saturn in your first house for a year. So much of the new version of you that's coming through is a year plus in the making. You're not dealing with old ways anymore. You're not allowing for certain levels of betrayal anymore. You're not adhering to certain levels of self-sabotage anymore. There's a new version of you. And you're going to be making some very big decisions on how you continue forward. Now, some of you have recently had to deal with loss. And some of the new energy is how you're healing from that loss and how you move forward from here and how you support others from here. How you connect with people moving forward. So much of this energy speaks volumes of you becoming the new version of you. And I've been saying this for a while, but now I think you guys are going to finally start to recognize that within yourself. And the more confident you become in this new version of you, the more you're going to be able to handle the combativeness and the frustration and the things tied to other people. There's so much that speaks to letting go of the past and the overwhelm and the betrayal. That Mars-Uranus square, Mars is in that 7th house, in that 12th house. Venus is still in that 12th house. Many of you are going to have, if you haven't already, then you're about to be letting something or someone go. You're going to be making the hard decision to let someone go. Because again, it's a new version of you that is no longer going to be putting up with the conflict, the betrayal, the overwhelm, the verbal abuse, the beating up. You're not going to put up with it anymore. These energies are over. And the new version of you is starting to come through. In so many ways, it's time for this new version of you to come through. The Wheel of Fortune speaks to time and how time can be so fated in so many ways. Saturn rules karma, how karma can be so fated in so many ways. But the Six of Wands has a success energy to it, and it is reaching levels of success and achievement, personal growth, personal majesty, personal strength, and confidence. The King of Coins can be very set in his ways because he can achieve. You have had a year plus to learn how to cope with this Saturnian energy to be able to achieve more. And the stronger you become, the more other people can't handle it. The more other people can't handle you. But moving forward, it's not about other people. It's about what's best for you and how you are going to be seen and how you are progressing. Now, for some of you with Jupiter and Uranus in the third, this can have to do with siblings. This can have to do with family. This can also have to do with career. There's so much about facing our fears on how we move forward. Because again, not everybody is expecting who you have been becoming. Those seeds were planted a long time ago. Now that things are coming into bloom, we have a whole new level of how we face those fears and how we hold other people accountable. So much of this energy is about you becoming the newer version of you. And for the next 2 months, and I do mean 2 months, because we're going to go through eclipse season and the eclipse season is going to have so much change to it. I do feel like for the next 2 months, that new version of you will become more empowered. The closer Jupiter and Uranus come into their conjunction, the more empowered you are going to feel, the more strength you are going to have in the decisions that you are making. We are making huge changes from here. There's a new trajectory, new path, new ideas, new you. Not everybody's ready for it, but it's time. Wheel of Fortune, it's time. Okay. Oh, I'm not going to be real heavy on the closing. I put more emphasis on the intro to this. Obviously, this is going to come out later today, and then tomorrow I'll have the next week ahead forecast. Have any questions, any concerns, any things that you guys want to talk about, feel free to message me. Aside from that, I love and appreciate every single one of you. So I'll talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.